Well, I think men, they have more ick from the get-go. Like they're either attracted to a woman or they're not.
Oh,
but it's
no, that's not true.
Oh.
That is not true. That's a real generalization. I'm ashamed of you.
Are you offended? Dear Shandy. Welcome back to another Dear Shandy Love is Blind recap, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing very well because I like this show.
Yeah, good show.
I like Love is Blind. I can admit it. I have no shame.
I think even when Love is Blind is bad, it's kind of good.
That's the thing is I had heard mixed reviews on this season 7, and am I supposed to not be enjoying this so far? I don't know. I'm into it.
I think what it's light on is the usual drama.
Yes.
And I think, again, I don't want to beat this point down, but people watch these shows for the drama. Not all people, but a good chunk of them.
Yeah.
And if there isn't heavy fireworks, people are like, oh, it's boring season.
Oh, but I think there's so much to analyze with these couples. I actually I find the cast likable.
Yeah.
For the most part. And even the people who are not likable, I still kind of like not liking them. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously we're about to recap season 7 of Love is Blind. We are a little late to this game, but we pulled you over on Instagram, and this was by far the winner out of the suggestions we had.
So blame yourselves.
I did want to incorporate one thing into these recaps because this was, by the way, requested by a Shandy.
Oh.
But this Shandy requested that since we are a couple weeks late, that if people have already seen the whole season and they want to ask specific questions, like what we thought about what X scene or so-and-so person, that they can ask them and then we can answer them in the next recap.
Oh.
And so we're saying, yes, we will. So if you have any questions about, upcoming episodes, you can comment below with them and then we will try to incorporate them into the next recap.
And I want to make it very clear that we have no idea what happens in the season, neither of us. And I want you to keep us unspoiled.
Yeah, we're pristine.
Do us a favor.
It makes for a better recapping experience when we don't know what happens. So just be careful how you word things in the comments. Sometimes people will say something without even realizing that it's a spoiler because they know. But for us, because it's not a spoiler anymore, right? Like it's all out in the open. Yeah, it's fully spoiled.
It's like talking about the end of Star Wars now.
Yeah, exactly.
But some people haven't seen Star Wars, so respect.
We haven't seen Star Wars.
Oh,
we have seen Star Wars, but we haven't seen the proverbial Star Wars in this analogy. And so please respect that if you can. All right, Andy, shall we get going?
Let's do it.
Okay, so as usual with Love is Blind, the first 6 episodes, it is a doozy putting together notes. So I'm going to keep with my tradition, which is focusing on each couple, like their trajectory, their arc, and then we move on to the next couple.
I think it's a great strategy.
Okay, so obviously the first couple here, this is the first couple to leave the pods together. It always starts with like a happy, easy couple, and those are Garrett and Taylor.
Easy.
Well, so even from their first conversation, it's very highbrow. He's a physicist. She's got a hydrogen molecule tattoo. I mean, even this.
Yeah.
I already wrote here, is there a world in which these two don't leave together? I mean, that's not shocking. I don't think that I have some unique opinion. They're so good together.
Yeah, from the beginning. It didn't seem like they ever saw any other people.
Yeah, and I also really respect how she went out of her way not to mention her mother's name.
Yeah.
To not give away her ethnicity.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really I felt this.
Love is blind. Play by the rules.
Yeah. And she's also stunning.
Yeah.
Like Taylor's really beautiful. And I think it would be easy to just give away little things, and which a lot of people do, by the way. We'll get there.
Yes.
We will get there.
Oh, yeah. We will.
Yeah. Like pulling a Megan Fox doppelganger.
Proverbial Megan Fox.
I call it like Megan Foxing now.
Yeah, it will never die.
No. But I really respected how she did this. And I think this was the one point of between them. But even he was just like, oh, I feel like she's hiding something. But he got over it quickly. And I think they were just so pleasantly surprised when they saw each other. So can we talk about how not everyone. I have gotten a lot, though, of people saying that I remind them of Taylor or Taylor reminds them of me.
Well, look, I'm gonna say this.
Yeah, let's get the husband's opinion.
Okay, my opinion is this. First of all, you don't look like Taylor. Aside from the fact that you have similar color themes because you're both half Chinese.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get that out of the way.
Yeah. Or half Asian. Is she half Chinese? I think she's half Chinese.
I don't know.
Someone told me she was half Chinese.
Fang? That sounds Chinese.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So you are the same general ethnicity as her.
general.
Yes. So that's it. I don't think you look alike at all. Number two is you are much more, I think, earnest. And that is not an insult to Taylor. That is actually taking nothing away from her. She has a certain personality.
Yeah.
She's a little bit sarcastic, a little bit cool.
Yeah,
She's a little
Taylor's
bit cool.
much cooler and drier than I am. So when I first heard all this and I saw her, I was like, oh, it's because we're both half Asian. That's the assumption I made. And then as I've watched her more, like in the beginning, I was like, oh, wow. First of all, no matter how you slice and dice this is a compliment. Like very much thank the Shandys who make this comparison. But I actually don't think we're that similar, other than the fact that we both have low-ish voices. And I think the part of me that grew up not having anyone look like me is a little like I don't even want to use the word triggered, but it slightly makes me a little uncomfortable because I cannot imagine that if she were not half Chinese that people would not make this comparison. But I'm honored. Like I think she's gorgeous and I think she's ultra cool, but I don't really think we're that similar actually.
No, I don't either.
Yeah,
I think you're both smart and you're both charismatic, and you're both quirky. But I don't see the similarities personally. And that's not an insult or compliment to either of you.
And so people have said her style.
Her style is pretty good, I think.
like her style, but I also don't think her style's not my style at all. But I respect her style.
She has good style.
Yeah.
She has a lot of good things that are just different than your good things.
Taylor is someone I would definitely want to be friends with, like hands down. Like, I don't think anyone feels differently. Everyone's like, Taylor, I want to be friends with that girl. But
your voices are both kind of low.
Yeah. But even the way she speaks, though, is not as like I think I am more sing-songy in how I speak.
As I said, she's very cool.
Yeah, she's too cool for me. Like I'm way less cool than Taylor is.
But you're a different kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cool. She's kind of keeps it close to the vest. She's a little sarcastic, a little dry, a little insincere sometimes, but in a playful way. Yeah. You're much different than that.
Yeah, I think it's based in the fact that
you're half Asian.
Yes.
You have the same general. If I saw both of you from like 300 yards away, I might be like, oh, huh? Oh yeah, that's Sharleen on the right.
It's kind of a weird sensation, honestly. It's weird to have people make that comparison when you're like, oh, they're half. And I don't know, it's just a weird thing. I don't know. Any other people with a sort of unique ethnicity growing up? There was one other person in my entire high school who was half Asian. She was half Japanese. And I don't know. I think when you were raised with that, it is always a little odd when someone's like, oh, this person looks like you. And you're like, no, they don't. They're just the same ethnicity. It's just strange. Anyway, I'm honored by the comparison. I think Taylor is awesome. I mean, there's nothing not to like about her. So a couple of main talking points is Taylor saying kids, she's thinking about kids from like 5 to 7 years. And he's like, oh, that seems long. I don't know, something about this. Even this I found really relatable about her is how she's like, I've been sort of dragging my feet with the whole marriage and kids and everything thing because she didn't think it was possible to find the perfect relationship for that. And she didn't want to do it if she didn't have the right relationship. I like this about Taylor a lot. It doesn't feel like she was just looking to get married because that's what you're supposed to do. No. Like the right person had to come along and she would be totally fine not being in a relationship. She's so self-assured.
She's confident.
Yes.
Taylor is confident.
She is confident.
Yeah.
And Garrett too. I mean, I will say there's a star though in this couple and I do think it is Taylor.
Yeah, sure.
Can I say that?
But Garrett's great. You know what? With that, when you have a dish, a great dish, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yes.
If it's unsalted, it doesn't sing.
Yes.
So the salt, you're not like, oh, wow, that salt was amazing. What a great piece of salt that was. All salt is basically the same. By the way, that's something I have a beef with.
What?
Is when people have different types of salt. It's all salt.
Oh, but why does that bother you? It's
No,
fun.
It doesn't bother me. I just feel like when you go to some market where they're selling like a $15 salt.
Oh,
it's like it's salt. It's NaCl.
Pink
it's salt.
Himalayan.
Yeah, it's just don't start with that stuff with me. If it's flavored salt, that's different.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is that salt is not a star. But without salt, the dish doesn't sing.
Mm-hmm. So who's the salt here?
Garrett's the salt.
Oh, so you think he makes Taylor sing?
I think he makes Taylor sing a little bit. I think it's a good match.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. We all love what we see of Taylor, but Taylor also has had the great fortune of instantly connecting with someone who brings out the best in her.
Yeah.
Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah.
Like if I went on this show and met you on day one, people would be like, oh my God, Sharleen, they'd probably think I was pretty cool because I get to be my best self. But then if it was just a bunch of people that I had no connection with, it would be like, oh, this girl, she's so awkward.
I think what you're seeing here is two people operating with self-esteem.
Yes. It's so refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is.
Because you want, this is what you want to see. Yes, we all want to see some train wrecks, but these two together, it's just like,
This is the equivalent entertainment-wise of a train wreck. It's the same level of entertainment
Isn't
I'm
that
getting.
incredible?
Yeah.
How that actually still works.
You don't need the train wreck.
No.
You need this. And I'll tell you something else. You don't hear them talking endlessly about the relationship.
Yes.
You notice that they talk about stuff,
Yes.
about important things,
Yes.
about life, about
Natural-
themselves,
the
conversation.
The banter between them
Yeah,
is...
it's not like, I really love our relationship. This is great. I really could see, I want to have your kids and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I can totally see it. I want to wake up in the morning every day with you. No. It's like, oh, what do you think about butterflies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Their banter is something that's hard to capture. And it's funny when you see a TV show or a movie try to capture the banter of an early stage romantic relationship. But it's really well demonstrated by these two. It's it's almost an energy. It's not even what they're saying. It's how they're saying it and how the other person receives it.
And with these shows, dating shows in general, these reality shows, it's so contrived usually.
Yeah.
And it's so forced. And it's often, motivated by fame rather than actual romance.
Yes, well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
But I think this situation is very rare.
Yeah.
You've got two people with self-esteem who I genuinely believe, yes, of course, in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, it'll be cool. I'll go and Love Is Blind and maybe I'll get 1 million Instagram followers. But I don't think
they were just going to go through with this.
No,
the
I don't.
Two of them.
I think they are both adventurers.
Yeah.
And they wanted to explore. This was an exploration. It was like going on a big trip somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think they were thinking of the fame aspect of it. I think
No.
they were thinking of the experience. And now that they met each other, it's just pure chance that these two people who actually are really meant for each other are actually having real conversations on a reality show for dating. You rarely see this thing happening.
Yeah. The proposal is beautiful. She reads him a love letter she's written, which is so... Yeah. And also the love letter from her grandfather to her grandmother.
Cool.
So beautiful. So cool that she has that. Yeah. Also, her love letter is so well written.
Yeah.
Like it also feels like it's from a different time. I mean, I'm just obsessed with these two. And even when they get engaged... oftentimes you get like a scream or I don't know, there's more of this like outward reaction, even how they're both just so full of joy for themselves. They're both just like, they're just like excited.
It's reserved joy.
Yes.
And they also have to take it with a grain of salt. They're realistic people.
Okay. You think that there's a part of them that's like, this might not be for real?
Oh, I think they both in their hearts want it to be for real.
Yeah.
And I think they think it might be for real. But I also think that they're both
realists.
highly intelligent realists.
Yeah.
And there's like this, we're on the other sides of a wall.
Yeah.
We're on TV.
Yeah.
Like we want this to be true and we feel that this should be true.
Yeah.
But let's not get too crazy.
Yeah. In the reveal, going into it, Taylor says she didn't need a husband. What she wanted was a soulmate. Oh, no. I relate to this. And he meanwhile says he'd given up on finding the one. I can picture these two struggling in dating today, actually. Not because they're not attractive and desirable. It's just
find a match.
Yeah. Like in such a superficial world, I can imagine it being difficult to find someone.
Well, they're both old souls.
Yes.
And it's not a good environment for old souls dating, I think.
This reveal is so lovely. I think they're both so pleasantly surprised by each other. Andy, though, you said you prefer a train wreck reveal. You think casting is what you said here. Casting for this show is PhD level.
Yes, they know what they're doing.
Do you think that the casting people thought these two might be a match?
I honestly think that they have like a flow chart when they start the show.
Yeah.
They cast so impeccably that they probably know down to like maybe one mistake, they know who the final couples are going to be. I think it's that good.
I feel like they could be using those talents for, I don't know, matchmaking or something that's like maybe going to a better cause. This isn't a bad cause, I suppose.
And do you think they could be doing it for something that could make them more money?
No. Okay. I think you're right about
Case
that.
closed.
And now in Mexico, I mean, everything's going really swimmingly with them. She says she's not good at asking for things. She tends to do it herself. I mean, in this way, we are very similar. I'm very Taylor in this way, in a way that's like bad. And she says in a good relationship, you have to give space for the other person to ask for help. I thought this was, I mean, she really understands relationships. This was cute. He puts tape over his mouth to sleep.
Yeah.
Andy.
I also have tried this. I
should
do this again.
Yeah, you go through phases, but for some reason, I think that you don't like, in your mind, putting tape over your mouth is a temporary fix,
right?
Even though it seems to work. And I don't know if there's a permanent fix for your snoring.
I don't think there is, but tape I find has been the closest thing to an easy fix that I've found.
Yeah. So why do you see it as temporary? Just keep the tape.
Because then some nights I wake up feeling not great and I feel like I've been suffocating all night.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, I've read things online about the tape, and there's some medical professionals say that it's not advisable.
Wait, why? Because
it can cause like real breathing issues during sleep. But a lot of people say it's good. I don't know. The jury's out. All I'm saying is that I have found very good results at times with the tape.
Okay. In one other conversation, she talks about needing action. She says, women hear a lot of words. There's something really just like rah about Taylor. I love how she made him court her. I love how she even said this. Like they're at the point where, you know, a lot of women would just be gushing. And she's like, well, I still need to see action. Like this isn't a done deal yet, basically. And he says he's currently 100% in, ready to change his life for her, align their high intensity lives. And that brings us to the end of Garrett and Taylor, Andy. Do you feel you want to add anything?
I feel good about these two.
Yeah.
I don't see what's going to break them apart.
They're going to, I mark my words, they're still together today.
Mark my words as well.
Yes.
I want to join in on that marking of words.
Oh, so I can't make a bet with you?
No, I'm on the same. There's no bets to be made.
Okay.
I would be shocked if these two broke up. I'm not saying that they're going to have kids and live together and die and be buried next to each other, but they're going to go very far.
I've pictured them lasting 2 years at least, if not going all the way.
Years. This is a year's relationship.
Yes. Agreed.
So Sharleen, do you enjoy having harmful and toxic chemicals in the house?
This is a trick question. I would say no, I do not.
Well, then, do you know that when you clean surfaces, you are often leaving harmful and toxic chemicals that not only remain on the surface, but also get into the air and then into your lungs and on your skin?
Yes, these toxic fragrances and these harsh disinfectants, they remain on these surfaces and then over time end up in the air in your home. And these can cause respiratory issues, headaches, and even long-term health issues. And I'm going to be honest, until Branch Basics came along, I would say when it came to cleaning supplies, that was an area where I don't think I matched my level of like green, clean interests in the rest of my life, because I was like, oh, well, I want it to clean really well, right? I want it to be harsh. But really, what you're doing is leaving that on all the surfaces in your house, and then over time, that ends up in the air you breathe. Meanwhile, Branch Basics has completely changed the way we clean this house. And when I first heard of Branch Basics, when they first came across the desk, I was like, that sounds excessive. Like, I don't see why I need more cleaning stuff, until I realized that actually what you're doing with Branch Basics is making everything streamlined and really simple. So I'm going to explain how Branch Basics works. First of all, you get one concentrate. Andy's holding it right there. And with this one concentrate, you can tackle everything from laundry to kitchen counters to bathroom grime and even gently wash fruits and vegetables. It's a powerful plant and mineral-based solution. And what's so cool is that one solution then can apply across the board. So right now, this is the all-purpose cleaner. And you can see there's a line you fill to with just water, and then you fill the rest of the way with the concentrate, and then you have your all-purpose cleaner. And here I have a foaming hand wash, the exact same thing. You fill to one line with water and then the rest with that same concentrate. It's fragrance-free, safe for babies, pets, and people with sensitive skin. And it's just so cool how over time, the only thing you need in your life is that concentrate, because these bottles, you just refill them over and over again.
And also, these work.
Yes.
It's not like you're sacrificing cleaning.
No.
They clean well.
And you just feel good about cleaning your house with something that's not going to make you sick in ways that you don't even realize.
So get yourself and your loved ones the best gift of all, the gift of clean with Branch Basics.
For a limited time, our Shandies get 15% off plus free shipping on a premium starter pack when you use code Shandy at branchbasics.com/Shandy.
That's 15% off your order with code Shandy at branchbasics.com/Shandy.
And be sure to support Dear Shandy and tell them we sent you.
Get Branch Basics this holiday season because cleanliness matters. So Sharleen, you have a Lola V look today.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Do I look?
You look all V'd about the Lola.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Well, I wish I could take credit, but really Lola V is to thank. Lola V, the hair care line that I initially wanted to say no to until I actually tried it. And then I was like, okay, we're advertising this now because I loved it so much. Lola V is Jennifer Aniston's hairline. She's literally famous for her
hair. Is she going to put her name behind a not good hairline?
No, she's not. And I at first was like, okay, another celebrity product, whatever. And then I tried this stuff and I was like, it just gives me a good a good bounce, a good shine, all the things. I'm obsessed with their Perfecting Leave-In Conditioner. And by the way, I am very picky about my leave-ins because I find they often leave my hair too tacky, too greasy.
Weighted down.
Very good. Very good,
Yeah,
Andrew.
I know hair.
You know so much. Well, it's powered by their naturally derived peptide bond builder, clinically proven to help prevent, protect, and repair dry hair, damaged hair. And I mean, I've been putting my hair through the ringer lately, and it really doesn't feel like it feels good. Yeah. It feels good, better than it normally does, honestly.
So this holiday season, unlock Jennifer Aniston approved hair at lolav.com.
And our Shandies will get an exclusive 15% off your entire order with code Shandy15 at lolav.com. That's LOLAVIE.com, promo code Shandy15.
Only one promo code per order and discounts cannot be combined.
After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Support Dear Shandy and tell them we sent you. Your hair will thank you. Okay, so that brings us now to Ashley and Tyler. In the pods, he talks about how he would never expect his wife to slave away in the kitchen when they had both been working all day. And I was like, I love this guy. I really am into Tyler. He is sincere.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he is legit, I feel like, in his seeking a partner in life, not just a wife, you know? Definitely something that seems to bond these two is their faith. Yeah. And actually, I think their shared faith is so beautiful, like how it touches each other and how the other person, you know, someone will say something or make a prayer and the other person's like, it's so cute. They're like, I'm into God too. It's so cute. I actually think the beauty in religion and prayer is the gratitude, like the taking time out to be grateful for something, which we all know by now is like good for one's mental health, to take time to be grateful. And these two, they're just sort of like, they feel like they're floating in a place of happiness, being grateful all the time and even grateful for each other. It's a beautiful pairing.
I couldn't agree more. As a matter of fact, the part of religion that resonates the most with me is the forced gratitude.
Yes.
And I think if you take just that from it, forget about all the stories and the myths and the gods. Totally. And just pray, like have prayers where you're just like, thank you for this. Thank you for this. You're always reminding yourself to be grateful and thankful in the moment, which will allow you to lead a happier life, whether you believe in a higher power or not.
100%. It's not about God per se.
You're the God. You're the God.
And I was reading, everyone knows I've been reading Eat, Pray, Love. I finished it a little while ago, but I was really late to the Eat, Pray, Love game. As everyone knows. I just wanted to see what the fuss was about, and the book really truly was.
Great book.
Was amazing. Yeah, I mean, like, you've read it.
I'm just saying you said it was great, and I trust everything you say, so it's great.
I mean, I do have good taste in books. I do think so.
Excellent.
So there's a part in it where she talks about how prayer, it's not necessarily about God for her, but it's about verbalizing or putting into actual thought or action what you even want. Yeah. She's like, if you can't even be bothered to verbalize what it is you want or even put thought into it, you just want to be given what you want without even knowing what you want, then how can you expect it to come to you?
You know, it's an interesting question here. I would like to know, and this is never going to be known because people will never tell the truth when it comes down to it, but I'd like to know how many people who define themselves, who identify as religious and God-fearing, for lack of a better word, what percentage of them actually are so into the process and are so sold on the process of religion, making their lives better and more full?
Yeah.
What percentage of them actually believe that there is a true higher power as written in the books, as opposed to like some higher power?
I think a lot of them.
You think?
I think.
Or is it just that they're letting that be the case for them because it makes the process easier?
I mean, I don't know.
It's an interesting question.
I mean, neither of us were raised religious, so we'll have our more religious Shandies chime in, because I love it when we talk about religion and when the Shandies talk about religion.
It's fascinating.
And their relationship with God and with religion. And I love that we have created a space too where we can openly be like, yeah, it's not our thing, but it's like there's like an objectivity to it.
But as I've gotten older, I've become more firm in my belief that a lot of people who define themselves as religious, how many of them actually see God as, you know, some guy sitting up in the clouds with a big white beard? I think very few see that. I think a lot of people see God as a concept, and God as a thought, as a collective consciousness,
a higher power, a higher power.
I think they see it as their higher power. I think it's a connection to the heavens, a connection where you say, I have control because I believe in the power of existence.
Yes.
And it'd be interesting, like if you put a gun to someone's head, like in the end, like, is there a God? Guy, white beard, sitting up in the clouds. Person who's been religious their whole life, put a gun to their head. I don't know how many people are going to say yes.
I'm fascinated. Let us know, Shandy's, what you think, especially the religious ones.
Yeah, I want to know.
I want to know from everyone, but especially the ones who are like really identify as religious. I want to know.
Because I don't have that kind of community, and I never really have. And I always look at people who have like the real heavy church community or the temple community or whatever, the mosque community.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, is this more about the community and the thought, or is it really all these people bonded over their belief in this story?
Yes.
And I really think it's about the community, the thought, and it's about the fact that if we all believe this, and if I truly believe in my heart, I can manifest things in my life that I want. I can make my life look the way I want it to look.
Yeah.
Anyway, very interesting.
It's really interesting. And you can really see how it brings this couple together in a way that I hope does not turn out like, who was that couple from last season? Brittany and that school teacher, the school principal.
Oh,
they also prayed a lot. They really bonded over
the guy who's gaslighting. Gaslighting 101.
I was not. Yeah, gaslight. One of our top performing TikToks of all time.
You're like, yep, that's the one.
He was quite the gaslighter. Oh, Kenneth,
good.
and Brittany.
Nice.
Ooh, I don't know where that one came from, but they
Isn't
also.
It funny that there was a part of your brain.
That
was just sitting there, like there's some neuron that's like, we got Kenneth, we got it waiting for you when you're ready, warm and cooking.
Ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I see this going in the same direction. But here's the thing: after the pods in Mexico, you're like, oh, these two are great. Like you have a tendency to think that the couple's going to make it. But right now, I really like these two together.
Yeah, me too.
He gets down on a knee, says this is the safest and happiest he's ever felt. He can't wait to pray with her. He proposes. She says yes. And in the grand reveal, he cries when he sees her. I love what a crier Tyler is. Yeah. He's a crier.
That's good. It's a good sign.
Okay, and now in Mexico, they talk about the sex thing. So she's abstaining from sex. She's not celibate, but she abstains because she's looking for a real connection. She was lacking connection. He's into this.
Yeah, I think so. Or he's faking it really well.
I think he's into it.
I think he's into it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, when you both have the same belief. But here's the thing, even the abstinence didn't feel related to religion. It felt more like they felt depleted by
I don't think it was a religious thing.
Yeah.
I think she was doing it for herself.
Yeah.
But she's made the mistake of just jumping in and then the connection's not there.
Yeah, and feeling disappointed. And he relates to this. He talks about how sex is a soul connection.
Sure.
I mean, these two are aligned.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of tattoos. She asks where hers will go. I thought this was cute, actually. Except I do think that when someone has like 30 plus tattoos, getting a tattoo for someone means a little bit less.
I do agree with that.
That might be an unpopular opinion. They talk about the true blind nature of all this, and it's all very chaste, I wrote. But maybe not wanting to be, because there is a lot of sexual tension between these two.
But it's not chaste in the same way I felt Kenneth and what was her name? Brittany's was. There was something felt sort of insidious about their chasteness. Yeah, this feels more real.
Yeah, this feels more like savoring.
Chastity, sorry. I can't get away with saying chasteness.
I'm glad you corrected yourself. Yeah, even this, it feels more like they're savoring. It feels partly that they're savoring things. They know the connections there already. I think they already have more of a connection than they would need to have sex. But I think it's at the point where they're like, it's being eked out, you know? And I also think she's a little protective.
I think she is, and I think she has the right to be, because she's been through it. She's smart, and she knows how things go down when she has sex too soon.
Yeah. She's definitely seems protective of her heart and her body and everything. Yeah. And I respect it.
She seems highly intelligent.
She is. Yeah. I'm into Ashley. They talk about how it doesn't matter what anyone else says, anyone's opinions. They have to protect the queen bee. This is what
they're taking mine.
I wrote down the queen bee.
Oh, no, I was thinking, I don't remember them saying queen bee.
Sorry, queen bee is our thing. We always talk about, in the relationship side of this podcast about how the relationship is the queen bee. But everything she was saying here aligned with that. No. And yeah, they're great together. No. I like them.
I think I give them second place, most likely.
Second place, most likely.
Yeah, I think first, obviously, Garrett and Taylor, and then them.
I have have another couple in second place, most likely. Yeah.
I know who it is, but I don't agree.
These might be tied for second place, most likely.
Okay.
But I really love these two together. Okay, so that brings us to Monica and Steven.
Oh, sorry. No.
What?
I just realized I have a different second place too.
Okay, so you have Ashley and Tyler in third place, or tied for second, like me?
No, I have them in third place, a very close third place.
Okay.
Sorry, I just realized.
Okay.
This shows that we're doing this. This is off the cuff.
Yeah.
No preparation here.
Okay, so Monica and Steven in the pods, that we learned she has a bit of a habit for going for hot guys. She has a thing for arms. I'm gonna be honest, I don't get the arms thing.
Yeah, you don't need a big arm.
Well, I don't know if what's the point of a big arm? I want to feel
You
like
get carried.
carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, how long could you carry me for?
I mean, guys, a big arm. It could open a pickle jar.
Yeah.
Jars you need opening in the kitchen.
I guess yes. You feel.
If a guy causes trouble, you'd prefer a guy with big arms to defend you than a guy with scrawny arms.
Yeah, interesting.
Arms are good. I think honestly, if there's one thing on a man that I would want if I was a woman, thinking purely caveman style, I want big arms.
Oh, that is so interesting. For me, I don't know if arms are like top 5.
I mean, it's the thing that makes us human. We grab things, we pick things up, we mold them. I mean, it's
like
good
hands.
to have a strong arm.
I like a good hand.
But a strong arm connotes a strong hand. You need a strong arm to have a strong hand.
Okay, so Steven, he's an electrician, which I love, but also somehow seems surprising because in my mind, an electrician is more like gruff. I don't know why.
No, electrician is honestly. I've often watched electricians work. We've done a lot of electrical work in here. It's art, and I'm always envious. I'm like, that's a craft. That's a trade that I wouldn't have minded doing instead of everything I do.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that? You are literally harnessing electricity, this invisible force that makes the entire world work.
You are a magician if you're an electrician.
It's great. Also, it's dangerous. There's some risk. There's some danger. Intrigue. But an electrician, as you said, is a magician.
Yeah.
He's creating energy in ways that, like, he's figuring out paths.
Yes.
How to course the electricity, where to put the electricity. He creates light.
Yes.
And then there was light. Without the electricians, there would be and then there's light. There'd just be darkness and people getting electrocuted.
He's very upfront about having cheated and been cheated on, and how, he felt terrible. He went to therapy. Therapy is an ongoing thing for him. He's very emotionally out there. Yeah. And at first I wasn't really sure what to make of Steven. Like this, it could easily be something someone says in a sort of like mitigating damage kind of way and not necessarily sincerely meaning it. But the more we get to know Steven, I genuinely think he's this person.
Yeah.
Like, I think he is 100% emotionally available. I hope I'm not proven wrong. Like, I hope Steven doesn't do something that I'm like, ugh. But so far, I really like Steven.
I personally think something's going to be done to Steven. Yeah. I would think that it's going to be the other way around. I think Steven's going to do everything right, and he's just not going to be enough. That's my opinion out of the gate.
Yeah.
By the way, just a quick question to get out of the way. Electricity, greatest invention of all time? What's better?
I can't think of it. I mean, in terms of our convenience.
Yeah, they always say like the wheel. And the wheel is great. Tremendous invention. But I feel like the wheel was kind of coming along for a long time. Like, it wasn't for the first wheel. There was like a shitty wheel and then like a more wheel-like wheel. And then someone's like, oh, we could roll this on a thing and have a horse.
A spoke.
It was a slow development. But electricity, one day, boom.
I don't know if it was one day.
Tesla. The original Tesla.
Yeah, but
the actual Tesla.
Yeah, but I don't think electricity was invented in one day.
Well, it was always around. But I'm saying humans harnessed it.
Yeah.
In one day, he invented it.
Yeah, amazing.
It's amazing.
Can you imagine how exciting that was?
It's not. He created that. Talk about touching the hand of God.
Yes.
Like, what's closer to touching the hand of God than electricity?
Harnessing electricity.
Invisible energy. Yes. Totally invisible. Totally invisible.
Yeah.
That runs the whole planet.
Amazing.
Incredible. The only thing cooler than that is the fact that a bunch of plankton died 500 million years ago and now fly every plane on Earth. That's it. But we'll talk about that some other time. I don't want to get into too many tangents.
It's a different one.
Yeah.
I do agree with you about these two. And I mean, of course, our opinion on these two is colored by the last scene we see of them in Mexico. We'll get there. But we're going to go in chronological order. They're still in the pods. They talk about politics, actually. And I think regardless of where you stand on politics, I appreciated the conversation.
Yeah, it was a very open. You rarely see that level of calm in that conversation.
Totally. And he talks about his ethnicity. He grew up thinking he was white and a little Italian, and he was really into his Italian side. And then he discovers through like ancestry.com that he's actually part black. And then he like dives into that.
No one in history has ever leveraged that more than him. That's it. He's like, hey guys, guess what? I'm black.
I think it was so cute how excited he was about it, and also how touched she was by his excitement.
You know what I'd like is a montage, which obviously is impossible as he's never been on film, but a montage of his whole life of him bringing up the fact that he's part black. Like I just want to see like clips. Like, did you know? 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 Did I tell you? Did I mention that I mentioned that?
It was cute how sincere his excitement was over. Like it's not the last time it's brought up.
Yeah, no, his favorite thing of all time is this, and electricity.
He proposes, she says yes, and in their big reveal, Monica says she's nervous about physical chemistry, about getting the ick. The ick comes up a lot in this season.
We had a Q&A titled
Yes, the ick. Once you have the ick, can you go back from the ick?
Very hard.
It is interesting how women seem to get the ick more than men. This is discussed at some point.
I think the ick is universal.
I know
women
men
talk
also,
about it more.
Well, I think men, they have more ick from the get-go. Like they're either attracted to a woman or they're not. But it's
no, that's not true.
Oh.
That is not true. That's a real generalization. I'm ashamed of
Are you offended?
This is shameful
Okay,
behavior.
well, correct me.
The ick, men get the ick. I've been fully 100% in for someone.
Okay.
And something they do, like months later, I'm like, oh, it's over.
Give an example of something a woman has done that gave you the ick.
I have a thing about octopus.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't believe octopi, whatever.
We don't eat octopus.
I do not believe they
wrong.
should be eaten for many reasons.
Yeah.
One of which they're possibly one of the most intelligent animals on earth.
Yes, I think it's ethically wrong.
Totally wrong.
I think it's one thing if you catch a wild octopus. Okay,
yeah, fine.
I don't even
doesn't
condone
count.
that, but I think that farming a creature that intelligent is inhumane.
And they also have brains. They basically feel each tentacle is like its own entity. It feels every single thing extremely painfully.
Yes.
It's a horrible thing.
Okay.
And it's not like that was the only thing. There were other things brewing, trouble in the relationship, but
Yes.
they were below surface.
Okay.
And I saw her take this big octopus tentacle into her mouth and chew it in a very open mouth fashion. and then proceeded to talk to me about how tender it was. And that was it. I was done.
It was over.
It was over there.
You couldn't recover.
I could never recover. There were times, I tell you to this day, when I think about her, she's a lovely person, by the way, absolutely delightful soul.
Yeah.
The first thing I think about is the octopus in the mouth.
Can't be that delightful talking about tender octopus tentacles.
I mean, I forgive people. I think people are uneducated on octopus.
Yeah.
I think if they just learned more about it, they would stop eating it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I'm going to change the world from this Love is Blind recap. But, that's my opinion. Anyway, I got the ick. I've gotten the ick several times. The ick is real for guys.
I am sorry.
And for the ladies.
I am sorry for my generalization, Andy.
You should be sorry.
So their reveal is pretty cute. She says, "You're so cute."
Yeah.
She cups his face in her hands. They start whispering to each other, which I find really cute. I think it's always cute on these shows when people start whispering because it's like they're trying to find the intimacy.
Yeah.
In a moment that's clearly.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, there's
the
cameras all
subtitles
around.
will get you every time.
Yeah. And at first I wasn't sure if she was into him, but they do make out a lot. But I don't know if she's that into him.
I think she is not that into him. Mm-hmm. But I do think he is very into her.
Yes. So in Mexico, they talk about having no idea what they're doing. I really like this about him. He's actually extremely introspective.
Yeah.
How he talks about he has no idea what he's doing, but things always work out. Not just because he's in the right place at the right time. He thinks there's some of that, but also he takes the leap. He takes the leap of faith. He does the thing. Like, for example, going on this show. And she's much more, logic based. And in that sense, I think they're a really good match for each other.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I don't think that she's feeling it. That's my opinion.
Oh, I mean, I agree with that. They get some acupuncture. She won't stop talking about his boners.
Yeah.
She says it's a lot of poking, a lot of poking.
I'm going to say something about this. This was funny. It's always funny to talk about getting poked by boners. I mean, that's hard to make that not funny. But honestly, like, good for him. He's getting boners because he's into her.
Yes.
I would get boners too.
Yes.
What's wrong with getting boners? She should be psyched. She's like, look, he's so excited about me.
It's true. I don't know if I see this
Why
as...
I never have understood in my life why women get offended if a guy gets a boner in front of them. I understand if it's like, their doctor, like, or something, that's really weird.
Yeah.
But it's weird to me to think that that's like something you're
offensive
offended by. Like, it's the exact opposite. It's like the most animalistic way of saying that I'm into you.
Well, I see your point in that, like, if you're touching in a way that you would feel the boner, it's what I can see it being uncomfortable if you're not touching and you see a boner, you're like, what the hell?
No, the way it's uncomfortable if you're not that into it.
Yes.
If you're not that into the person and they're getting boners constantly, obviously you're not going to be into it. But what I'm saying is if you're into the person, you should be happy they're getting boners all the time.
Yes. And hopefully the reason you experience the boner in the first place is because you are intimate physically enough with each other that you feel it. And that's a position you want to be in.
If you don't get a boner with a woman you've just met who you truly love and you feel like you're in love with, something is wrong. Okay. That's my opinion. I think if you don't get a boner, there's a problem.
So the big talking point with these two, obviously, is post-pool party. Everything's going great with them.
PPP.
They seem to be getting along great. And then post-pool party, isn't it funny how alcohol just changes everything?
In vino veritas.
It really
Very
changes
true.
things. And I don't really know what happened here, but the energy we're getting from her, she's like eating chips and it feels like she wants to kind of talk about other people more and not really just gush over how great their connection is. But he does too much gushing, I think. He points out how there's such a good match because she always plans 5 to 10 steps ahead. He's deeply rooted in the moment, how amazingly this balances out. And he's talking about how other people commented on how great they are together. And so said that they seem awesome together. Like he's just like in it. He's on cloud 9. He is in the honeymoon phase, just like in love with them together.
She shuts him down.
She's like, babe, I'm obsessed with you, but shut the up.
Wow.
This took my breath away. I had to rewind this because I was like, did I miss something that he did that was annoying? She makes it seem like he didn't let her get in a word in edgewise. Like he won't stop talking. And he's like, oh, am I being chatty? Am I being too chatty again? I guess he has a tendency to sort of talk a lot.
I will say that in no circumstance, based on the content of what he was saying, in no circumstance was her reply appropriate.
I agree.
So I can't think of, there's nowhere where I'm like, well, it's an inside joke, or well, he literally had been speaking for 1 straight hour without letting her speak previous to that quote.
And also what he was talking about was
the
so
nature
touching.
Of the comments.
Even if you find him to be talking too much, you can still be like, babe.
Or I love you. Just put your hand over, like a gentle one finger over the lips. Like, I love you. Let's just look at each other.
Or babe, like, I've had really long days. Is it okay if we just like.
Yeah, even that's pushing it.
No, I think you can tell someone that you just need to talk less without telling them to shut the up. That's what she literally said, shut the up. Although it was preceded by, I'm obsessed with you. I still don't think saying I'm obsessed with you negates shut the up.
Was she trying to be funny? Was this a joke? Was this the way they banter? I don't think so.
I think she was shutting him down. And you could see the hurt in his face after. Yeah. He was like, oh, you're right. I felt like
he was almost crying. Like I felt like his tears welled up a little bit.
He's sensitive. He's a sensitive guy. And I felt that this was extremely harsh. Yeah. Andy, you said she's done with him.
I agree. I mean, I agree with myself saying that.
She tells Steven, you have to share the space. And he's like, you're right. And then she starts talking about Alex and Tim and how something weird was going on. It felt like she just kind of wanted to gossip. Yeah. She wanted to talk about other relationships. It already feels like...
She's checked out.
Yeah.
In my opinion, she's checked out.
I wrote that it doesn't feel like she respects him. Okay, maybe this was annoying that he was talking so much. I found the way she treated him here to be like
jarring.
Imagine if a man said this to a woman.
It would be
about what she had been talking about.
There'd be like 100,000 Reddit threads about
it.
Yeah.
Andy, you said she's already taking him for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was also so sweet how he didn't even have any dirt on Alex and Tim. He was like, "Oh, I didn't notice anything." He wasn't even capable of talking shit or gossiping about other people.
Yeah, the gentle giant.
He is. Okay, we'll move on. Oh, by the way, so do you want to make a prediction? Like, how do you think these two last?
I do not. I do not think they last.
I do not think they last either.
So, Sharleen, the other day I was thinking about the fact that family becomes just family. So your grandfather is just the grandfather. Your grandmother is just a grandmother. Your aunt is an aunt. Your uncle is an uncle. But these people have depth.
Yeah.
They have full lives.
Yes.
They're complicated. They have interesting stories. Why not know that so that we can appreciate our families more with Storyworth?
Yes, you get to know that and give a gift at the same time. I mean, you're really hitting two birds with one stone.
Yeah. Let's be honest. In the end, it's about getting something.
I really love the marriage of knowing your loved ones better, not just for the role they serve in your life, but for the life that they have lived. And also getting a great gift.
Yeah.
Because Storyworth is really both of those things combined. With Storyworth, this is such a great idea. You can give the gift and then they get these email prompts every week. And these are really interesting, thought-provoking questions that I think can go in many directions. And that's why it is so bespoke to each person. But questions like, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? Or what's the farthest you've ever traveled? And that becomes like a family heirloom of sorts. You know, you get to know these loved ones on a human level.
Also, Storyworth has 35,000 five-star reviews on Trustpilot. And there's a reason. It's because showing curiosity in other people is rewarding.
Yes.
For both people.
Yes.
The person who you show curiosity in feels flattered. They're like, oh, I want to talk about myself. I'm so flattered that you're interested.
Just being asked the question might jog memories that otherwise would never have been jogged.
Right.
Seriously, like being asked, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? That takes a moment of self-reflection.
It might be the first time they've ever thought about that. They'd be like, oh my God, I've never thought of it. I know now. I know what the bravest thing I ever did was.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So with Storyworth, you can give those you love the most a thoughtful, personal gift from the heart.
And preserve their memories and stories for years to come.
Go to storyworth.com/dearshandy and save $10 off your first purchase.
Again, that's storyworth.com/dearshandy, STORYWORTH.com/dearshandy to get $10 off your first purchase.
So Sharleen, when I used to have to make a doctor's appointment, and you know those times when you like, it's the time has come. Like I'm blind. I can't see anything. I have to make a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
It used to be a terror. I used to have this the doctor's appointment terrors.
Yeah. The terror was making the appointment more so than going to the appointment.
I tell you now, making doctor's appointments now is something I look forward to.
It's a pleasure. With ZocDoc, because ZocDoc, not only is it a search engine so you can find doctors near you who take your insurance, by the way, but from there you can even see their availability and book the appointment through ZocDoc directly. You never have to pick up the phone. I mean, that was really the terror, was the picking up of the phone, being like, do you take my insurance? And they're like, what version of your insurance? And then you have to go back and forth. And then they're like, oh, I'll get back to you. And then you have to listen to that music. And then you're on hold for 10 minutes.
But also the terror involves not knowing if the doctor you're going through all this trouble for is good.
Yes, because with ZocDoc, you get ratings. You wouldn't go to a restaurant that had crappy ratings, right? So why would you go to a doctor that has crappy ratings? With ZocDoc, you actually get to see those ratings. And what's really cool about ZocDoc is their dashboard. Because let's say you are the kind of person that sweeps things under the rug and you're like, yeah, I went to the doctor recently, ? And maybe 3 years have passed. With ZocDoc on the dashboard, it'll be like, hey, your last physical was 13 months ago. You know, you're due for a physical, your last eye appointment. It's nice to have it all in one place where you can be a little more organized.
Yeah, and you need parents later in life, but not the parents you have. You need the parents you had when you were a baby.
Yes.
And ZocDoc is the parents you had when you were a baby.
Yes.
Because it's like, hey, it's time to go to the ear doctor. We've got an earache.
Yes.
Now we go to the ear doctor. And I've picked this ear doctor very carefully because I care about you. You are my child.
Yes.
And I am a helicopter parent. And the only doctor for you is the best ear doctor in the world.
So ZocDoc is the free app and website where you can find and compare highly rated in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and instantly book appointments with them online.
We're talking over 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty.
From mental health to dental health, eye care to skincare, and more.
So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/Shandy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today.
That's ZocDoc.com/Shandy, ZocDoc.com/Shandy. Okay, Marissa and Ramses.
My true second place.
So we cannot talk about these two without first talking about Boden, who I just loved.
He was delightful.
We don't have to spend too much time, but
Absolute
Boden
delight.
deserves
He deserves
some special
somebody.
time. Yeah.
He should have matched with somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a loss.
It was. And it's not that I think that he was better for Marissa than Ramses was.
No, I don't think so.
But Boden, and even how he handles the breakup, he's amazing. How he talks about having gone to Ukraine to fight because he really identified.
And he was so happy that his family accepted it.
He cried, that they accepted it and that they knew that he would do it, like what it said about how they saw him.
Has there ever been a more solid dude on this show?
I think that they were just too similar.
Yeah.
Like their energy, like she even said when she breaks up with him, it's not as romantic. Like it feels like they're friends.
They're pals, yeah.
I loved how he was able to say, oh, you have a thing for previously married men, and like was able to laugh about that. Like when he realized that he and Ramses, they had the same number one and they were good friends. Like, oh, everything about him. He's a star.
I kind of want to know more about this guy.
Yeah.
And he was right. You know, when he first said the thing, like people think I'm some white bread American. And I was kind of like, yeah, you are. Like, why wouldn't they think that?
Get over yourself.
And he really proved me wrong.
Yeah.
You know, this guy he's got depth.
Yes. Except
character. She
asks him what is something he feels strongly about that's controversial. And he says, other than the fact that I think Breaking Bad is bad.
Well, this is where I have an issue. Who the hell does he think he is?
Okay.
No one says that.
No
You're
one.
not allowed to say that.
No. I mean, you can say Breaking Bad is overrated.
Absolutely. I'll accept that.
Yes.
I'll let the conversation open with that. Do not say it's bad. She
said,
agreed too.
Yeah.
Which makes me, now I'm always second guessing her. I don't trust her.
He believes anyone who works 40 hours should have housing, food, and medical care. I mean, and then they have another conversation. This is another conversation about politics.
Yeah.
That is just so refreshing to see.
I will say Marissa can definitely roll with political discourse.
Yeah. Because she dated someone who had a different political stance than her for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting, isn't it?
Interesting.
Someone has requested that we get a couple on who has differing political beliefs for a love fest.
Do we know one?
We don't know any, but if anyone wants to like nominate a couple, we're open to it.
I want to know who they are.
I would be very interested to have that conversation.
Yeah, me too.
Especially now. Okay, so Ramses, meanwhile, we learn he was previously married. He grew up very religious. That's what brought him and his ex-wife together. He's very hard on himself. His father was very critical. They talk about everything from politics to toxic masculinity and how he needs reassurance because when he finds out that she's into Boden, he needs reassurance. There's this real sweetness to Ramses.
Yeah.
He's softer. I really think he balances her out nicely. And I was really rooting for her to pick him. And I'm so glad that she did.
Yeah, she did well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like the perennial 90s sensitive guy.
Yeah, totally.
Like full emo.
Yeah, he is
but not
emo.
in an annoying way.
Not annoying at all.
No, he's full emo in the best way.
He's emo in an unapologetic way. He's not like pretending he's not emo. He's like, oh, I need some reassurance.
Yeah.
He's sweet.
Good guy. Sweet guy.
And apparently good in the sack.
Yeah.
Usually those don't always go together.
Everybody knows that now.
They talk about roles in the house. She says she's not the stay-at-home mom type. She didn't go to law school to not be a lawyer. She asks him, Adam Sandler or Will Ferrell? And he says, they're both funny. And she's like, no, they're not. She says that Adam Sandler is funny, but Will Ferrell is not funny. I found this a little like...
I think that's a very rough hill to die on. I don't know if she should be going there.
Yeah, I mean, they really were hating on Will Ferrell.
I mean, Will Ferrell is one of the most loved comedic actors of the last 50 years.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good call.
Yeah, and Will Ferrell, I feel like Will Ferrell has a very specific flavor, and I can see it not being everyone's flavor of humor, but it is a flavor. It's not, he is him. It's sort of like how Mike Myers is a flavor of humor. Like Will Ferrell's a flavor of humor. It might not be your flavor, but you have to commend a comedian who can create a flavor of humor.
Yeah, and Adam Sandler also created a flavor.
Yes.
But I think if between the two of them, if you're gonna choose one that has a more like take it or leave it, I think it's Adam Sandler. I know a lot of people who hate Adam Sandler. I know a lot of people who love him. I don't know any people who hate Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She's very opinionated.
She really is.
Yeah.
Strong opinions, which is good.
Yeah.
Even if I disagree, I respect.
She asks about his birthday and his, what was it, birth chart? Birth chart?
Birth chart?
Was it a birth chart?
I guess.
Something like that. He says he's
a
a Cancer Leo, and she just loses.
She dies. That's it.
Dies.
She throws all her clothes off.
And she runs back to the women and she's like, Cancer Leo. I have no idea what this means.
I mean, I assume it's the main sign, then the moon rising and the sun lowering.
The sun setting.
Sun setting, something with the moons and the suns.
The house.
Yeah, the house of the Leo.
There's a house. So she ends things with Boden now. A pro-level breakup. I thought this was spectacular how she did this. Boden takes this very well, and now the proposal. She reads a love letter that Ramses has written her and kind of teases him for it. He's a little romantic. It's sweet. And I
want to date Ramses if I'm a woman.
Oh.
Wouldn't you? Ramses seems like a good time.
I mean, I like Ramses.
Talk about anything you want.
And this is before we found out about his skills.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not that interested in that. But I mean, if I obviously, as a woman, I would be. But
he just seems like a giver.
Yeah, he's a giver. He is
Ramses
a giver.
Is a giver.
Almost too much. Almost too much. Like, let me just give today.
Yes.
It's enough.
Yeah.
And he's warm. He's emotionally intelligent.
He's handsome.
He's cool. He's not annoying.
I love his style. He's got a personal
Good style. I like his little whatever those things are. It's happening there. He's got everything. I'm down. I give him full seal of approval.
He gives her a beautiful speech about gratitude, feeling seen for who he is. He proposes. She says yes. And now the big reveal. How cute is this? They're into each other.
They are in. This is the one where I know in this Love is Blind stuff, things fall apart for a variety of reasons, even when you think they're kind of okay. I don't know how this falls apart. I don't know who does it. I think if anything, it might be that Marissa gets a little too much and he backs off. That's the only thing I can imagine.
She's very high energy. As you worded it, Andy, she has borderline nervous energy, but it's never bad.
It's charismatic nervous energy.
Yeah.
There's a difference. It's not the nervous energy where you're like, ugh. It's nervous energy where you're like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. I like your nervous energy.
She's like bubbly.
Yeah.
Bubbly is
she's got a lot of energy.
Yes.
She keeps going. The engine's always going.
Yeah.
And I think maybe, I don't know, I've had a guess. I can't think of anything that breaks these two apart.
I don't know, but we saw a preview involving Boden. Do you think that she does something? I don't know.
Anyway, I'm sold.
You're sold.
Let me be fooled.
In Mexico, we learned that they had sex very quickly. Apparently it was amazing.
Record-breaking speed.
Amazing sex. Because, I mean, I felt like she was into him, but then after the sex, like she was into him.
Oh yeah, you could tell. He was also a little cooler after the sex. He was just like sitting back. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, if it doesn't work out with them, I think this show will have been a very good thing for his reputation.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to get a lot of DMs.
Yes. Okay, so next up we have Alex. Oh, do we want to make our prediction? We think they're going to work.
I think they're going to work. They're definitely going to get married, whether they stay together for years or not.
So you think they're going to say yes at the altar?
I think they're going to say yes at the altar, and I think they're going to be, I don't know, 60% chance they make it a year.
Okay. All right. Very optimistic reviews so far.
Optimistic.
Okay. So Alex and Tim. We'll go a little less optimistic now. Their time in the pods has a very serious feel, actually. Yeah. Like we learned that both of her parents have MS. Like, wow. Yeah, both of his sisters, his only siblings, have passed away. Yeah. There's a real
heaviness.
Heaviness and understanding of mortality and like the life's difficulties, life's challenges, considering they're both young, you really, and the fact that they're both, he's a content strategist and she's a content manager.
I know,
real match made in heaven there.
Too.
But yeah, there's a real understanding that life doesn't always turn out the way you want it to. And I think that really brings them close. Like it's so interesting in terms of couples who the pods and then reality, like those two things not being similar. I feel like this couple is the one that takes the cake.
Yeah.
Because their time in the pods is like deeply moving. He gifts her the bracelet that one of his sisters had given the other sister before they both passed away. Like it's so deep and touching and tearful. And then afterwards, I'm like, what's going on?
Well, I will say this. I think that in this environment with a wall between you, I think trauma bonding is a lot harder to come to fruition than like joy bonding. I think that trauma bonding can kind of deceive you into thinking that you're made for each other. But then when you see each other, you're like, the trauma's not enough. I need the joy. I need the happiness. I need the jokes. I need the banter. this is not enough to support this. I think that's something that comes like, it's like, oh, we really like spending time with each other. Oh, and we also realize that we
true. You're
came
making a
from
good
this
point.
same
It's not the
place of
foundation.
pain.
It's so true. It's
not
not
a
the foundation.
No.
Yeah, and I feel like we see that because it's not as banter based.
You know what it is? It's that insulation tape you put over the wires.
Back to electricity. Yeah. But yeah, if you look at the banter between them, I don't know if I'm getting a lot of banter. Like there's not a lot of laughs, actually.
This does not feel fun.
No.
Not fun at all. It feels sad. It feels heavy. It feels deep. Not fun.
He has written her a letter to her father asking for her hand in marriage, how he'll always treat his daughter with dignity and respect. He proposes. She says, duh.
Yeah. Okay.
Even this duh. Alex, she's got a lot. Alex has a lot of like hardness to her, hard angles to her.
She's got a lot of walls up.
Yeah. Like even to me, the duh is like making a joke or a sort of like sarcastic quip about being proposed to me. I was like, it's very interesting. This surprised me. And I think that was the first glimpse of her, like of something that would be kind of a mismatch between them, because actually he's super sincere. I think he's very sincere.
I think he's too sincere for her.
I agree.
I think she wants someone who's going to put her in line.
Well, yeah, we'll get there because I agree completely. In the big reveal, we felt like he was more into her than she was into him.
I didn't feel that she was into him at all.
He says, hopefully I'm not ugly. And she says, no.
Yeah, that's not the right response. That's not a question you answer seriously. You're like, no. Not ugly. Not ugly.
And there was a weird thing about the dog. The dog.
Yeah, what is going on with that?
Was this talking about her cleavage? What was this?
I think he's talking about the dog and him. Like he's talking about if the dog comes out when he's looking at. I still am not 100% sure what's going on there.
He goes woof woof. He growls, and she hates this.
Like I can totally get why this would be annoying. This to me falls in the catchphrase category.
Yes.
So I get why this is annoying.
Yeah.
But I feel like she could have playfully kind of terminated this a little better.
Yeah, I feel like they both
fouled on this.
Her being as annoyed by it as she was only made him do it more, and I don't like either trait.
I do not like. I so agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Even if you're doing something that's not really annoying, like just. It's not.
Yeah,
objectively
and when someone
not
asks
annoying.
you to stop, when someone's like, I'm annoyed by that, please stop.
Well, it's like someone giving you a wet willy.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't like wet willies. Don't ever do that to me again. And they do it more.
Yeah.
Because that, by the way, that person is Hitler. Same thing.
Yeah, these two, the dynamic of her being as annoyed by things as she is, and she talks even in Mexico later about how she is annoyed, like things annoy her, and how he won't back down. Like he's kind of stubborn. He's like, okay, you're annoyed. I'm going to annoy you more. Like this is
bad dynamic.
No,
this is so obviously not happening.
I agree.
It's like I don't feel like I'm predicting anything.
Well, so in Mexico, he says he's an immovable object. She says she can get annoyed easily. She says she doesn't like to repeat herself, for example. That's an interesting thing to be that annoyed by.
Yeah.
Especially ironically, when this episode ends with sort of a big question mark around these two, he says he doesn't feel like he's being listened to, heard.
Yeah.
Like they're not on the same wavelength.
This is not working.
He won't drop the dog thing, and she gets very annoyed by him even more. They go trying on hats, and she poo-poos the hat.
He looked great in that hat. He's made for that hat. He looks weird without that hat on.
For some reason, this hat thing, out of all the things that happened between Alex and Tim, the hat scene bothered me more than any, because he was into this hat. Not only did the hat look great, but it was how into the hat he was. And she was just like,
she had a rain on that parade. She had a rain on his hat parade in Mexico.
And not in I think, there's a better hat for you out there. She was like, ew.
She sucks. Sorry, I'm gonna say, and you know what? I actually liked her.
No, I like Alex.
You know what I think?
I
about
just
Alex?
think that she's so hard in a way that she is going out of her way to make herself not as likable as she actually is.
Well, I think she's actually likable in many settings.
Yeah.
In the relationship setting, when it's not working out, she's not likable.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the worst side of her here.
She's too cool.
Too cool and cruel.
Cruel.
Yeah.
Cruel.
She's leaning on cruel.
The hat scene to me was bordering on cruel, because even if it's not your taste, his excitement over this hat was palpable.
Yeah, poor guy. He's so excited about his hat.
Yeah.
Does that hat make him look worse?
No, he looked great in
He
that
looks
hat.
great in that hat. I don't want to see him ever not in that hat
And
again.
here's the thing, even if it was a dumb hat that he didn't look great in, his excitement alone should make
If you
her
like it-
think, maybe it isn't that bad.
The worst thing she should have said was, if you like it, I like it. If you like it, do what makes you happy. In passive aggressively basically saying, I don't really like it, but you're happy.
They talk about messiness in the house. She says she already knows she'll be the messy one. And he says, have a corner. That was funny. Okay, so now the pool party, after the pool party, because not much happens between them at the pool party, but afterwards we have the next morning a no music scene.
Oh, beware the no music.
The show loves music.
Oh,
So when they don't use music,
Yeah.
you know something's going on.
yeah.
Very tense. He confronts her it's kind of unclear because we're only relying on their narration to know what happened because this didn't get captured. But I guess she was really cold and distant after the party. Like she didn't want to be around him. And then I guess he wanted some sort of explanation or like wanted to be comforted or something. And then I guess this escalated into a fight of sorts
Yeah.
that included him trying to leave and her not letting him leave, but her also not really wanting him to stay or to comfort him, and also involving her cutting him off and covering his mouth. That was a little wow to me. The covering of the mouth, like that is, to me, that's a sign of disrespect.
Yeah.
You don't cover someone's mouth.
It's not nice. It's not nice.
Isn't it funny how certain gestures, I say this just having done this opera in Ireland where a lot of the cast and staff were Italian, and it came about at one point where someone was shushing someone across the room like this by putting their finger over their mouth, and the person who was on the receiving end of that across the room was Italian and was extremely upset about it because I guess that is a sign of disrespect in Italy. And meanwhile, to us, I don't feel like that's, if someone does that to me across the room, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be quiet.
Well, it's like saying relax to someone. Like that could be in I'm sure in certain languages.
Yeah, relax. Like,
Interpreted
don't tell
as
me to
like,
relax.
oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Relaxing would be a good thing for me to do.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing, relaxing.
And it's fine. Like, I feel like probably in some parts of the world, if you like snap your fingers at a waiter for the check, that's
Totally.
fine.
Like,
And here
oh,
it's like,
someone needs me. I'm in need.
and here it's like, you snapped your fingers.
Totally.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I feel like the covering of the mouth,
No, that's universally bad, I think.
I'm trying to imagine a world in which that's not offensive, but I can't.
You're literally taking away the one part of the body that communicates language.
Yeah, and your needs in this moment. The point of this moment is us communicating with each other, and you're saying, no, you aren't worth being listened to.
Yeah.
This was very alarming to me.
Yeah.
And I think he was appropriately upset about it.
Well, the thing is, like in these situations, like if she doesn't like him, which I really don't think she really does,
Yeah.
I can give her a pass on being terrible because sometimes, I know in my life I've done that when I kind of, instead of being a man and breaking up with someone, I kind of just act a little bit like a dick
Yeah.
to hope that they go away or get the hint and doing it the easy way.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where she is.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
But then she wasn't letting him leave. That's the thing.
Yeah, the thing is, that's the thing. Her behavior goes above and beyond that. She definitely committed fouls here.
Definitely.
There's no forgiving this, at least in the context of the show.
Well, and it's so telling again, alcohol was involved.
Alcohol will always do it. If
This
you can
was the
make it
truth.
through a night of heavy drinking early
Yeah.
in a relationship,
Yeah.
you're probably in good shape. I'm not saying everyone should do that, but I'm saying if it happens, you're probably good.
He says, I don't take being called anything but my name lightly.
Ooh, laying down
And
the
he,
law.
even this, he showed restraint. It almost felt like even in this confrontation, he was still protecting her.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't like, you did this, you called me this, you did this. It was more like,
No, he was hiding the facts from
yes,
the audience.
he was protecting her.
He was talking to her. He wasn't talking to us.
Yes. I don't take that lightly, being called anything but my name. That really makes you think, God, what did she call him, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, he says he feels very disrespected, and it's so fascinating. We were watching how this turned her. Andy, you said she likes being put in her place.
Yeah.
Because she goes from not being that apologetic and kind of being more defensive and a little argumentative to when she realizes how checked out he is, suddenly she's like, oh shit. And she goes into sweet mode. Where,
First time we've seen it since the pods.
yes, where she moves closer to him, super sweet to him. And Andy, you said suddenly he's more appealing. You
Yeah.
called this a sick dynamic.
Very unhealthy.
This is concerning when the only way to get someone to be sweet to you is to
discipline them.
Yeah, or to be pulling
like
away.
A man.
Yeah.
In quotes for those listening.
Yeah. It's like the power dynamic shifted and suddenly she was more into him.
Yeah.
And what an insane shot to have captured.
Yeah.
This was insane at the end. She goes in for a hug and stays there. And the camera slowly zooms in on his eyes, like looking at nothing and just blinking. And he's just thinking. And it just zooms in. And it's I swear it was like a solid minute.
Good job on that cameraman.
Oh, this was incredible footage. Yeah. It was like from a movie. I couldn't believe this was captured. It was real. Are you kidding me? I was on the edge of my seat watching him.
They just needed a song. I'm having second thoughts about this.
Yeah.
Second thoughts about this.
I mean, do we think this is the couple that's going to end the soonest?
I think this is it. I think this is the one.
I mean, we did see previews of them.
I think he's going to take her back, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But this is just, clock's ticking hard on this one.
Yeah, there is a lack of wavelength for me. It's like the disrespect thing. Like, I understand that he feels disrespected, and it sounds like she did disrespect him. And, the dog thing, he's stubborn and likes egging, kind of egging her on, and she gets annoyed. That all aside, I think at the core, they don't have fun together.
They seem to me like strangers.
Yes.
When I see them sitting next to each other, I'm like, these people don't know each other. They just sat down at a bus stop together.
Yeah.
Nothing's there.
They're not on the same wavelength.
Nothing there.
Okay, so moving on to Leo.
Leo.
The Leo Hannah Brittany love triangle. With Leo, we learn he inherited his family business and he's insecure about a woman wanting him for his money. And then, even though he says that, he proceeds to tell everyone how rich he is. Always. Like at every turn.
Can't do it. Can't not say it.
What is with this? That is so fascinating. Do you think that's actually his fear? I do think it is his deep fear, but he doesn't know who he is without money. And so that's his
I think it's a variety of insecurities kind of working with and against each other.
Yeah.
As insecurity is about money. Like he doesn't have enough money. But his real insecurity is that he didn't make his money. He's not self-made. He was given his money. But he kind of has to talk about his money a lot to somehow cover up his own insecurity about the fact that he really didn't earn his money.
Uh-huh.
And I think that just becomes a snafu of constant conversations about money and showing off his money.
Yeah. And not a ton of self-awareness.
No.
And of course, I know that the show's edited in a way where in one scene we can hear him say his biggest fear is being seen only for his money. And then the next scene he's talking about how much money he has. So I understand that's editing, that they put those two things side by side. But there is a lack of self-awareness for sure in him not wanting to be seen for his money. And I do think there's a side of him that just wants to be seen for him. But then his identity is wrapped up in his money.
I think a lot of his value has been wrapped up in money since he was a kid, probably by his family. And I think he's gotten girls in the past leading with money.
Yes.
And I think he can't avoid the topic because he knows that it is a big part of his value. Even if it isn't, even if it's just an illusion to him, he feels that without money,
he doesn't have
a lot to sell.
Yeah, he doesn't have value. And I'm sorry, I don't think that, it sounds like his parents or his, it doesn't sound like it's been in his family for generations. I think that you don't make that kind of money without being really money focused.
Of course.
And so he was raised in an environment where his parents or whomever was
Drove it
really
home.
money focused. Yes.
Money, make money. You got to make money. Without money, you're worthless.
Yes.
Not necessarily that bad, but close.
And I do know someone like this who was raised with a lot of money and has a lot of money. And what's interesting is they never want to be seen for their money. And in fact, it's a huge insecurity. But at the same time, this person always shows how much money they have in a multitude of ways just by how they move through the world. And in a way that if you don't have money, it does seem gratuitous. I'm not just saying that it's they happen to drive this car. It's how they speak about money and what they do and things like that. Well, so I don't know. I think that the whole money thing is fascinating. This guy, Leo, is a fascinating character study.
He is. And I also think he's insecure about him being gifted a career. I think in a way, he's kind of sinking his own boat by talking about money so much, because he thinks by talking about the money, he'll somehow validate his career, which he feels insecure about being gifted. So it's working against him. It's making him look like a trust fund kid.
Well, and it's such a shame that he kept talking about the money, because I actually think the fact that he's an art dealer
would have been, just leave it at that.
Talk about the art.
Talk
about your, the one time we saw a bit of him having an eye and like a concept of art
The ring.
was the ring.
Yeah.
When he asked Brittany what kind of ring she wanted. And it seemed like a really superficial conversation, which no one's really arguing that it wasn't. But the way he was talking, he's like, no, you want this kind of like, you want a rock that looks like this, but with yellow gold, it's going to be dainty. It's going to be blah, 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 because you are like this, blah, blah. Like, I actually felt it showed an artistry in understanding how someone's taste or identity might be expressed with a piece of jewelry. And I'm sure that translates over into art. But instead of talking about art at all he talked about was money.
Talked about his watches. And I totally agree with you. I would have loved to have heard about how he values paintings, or just his feelings about art, or specific paintings, or any type of art, anything but the money. But it's so interesting to me because, like, the thought of showing off your money, it's abhorrent to me. Like, it fills me with such a deep shame. Like, that's the last thing you should ever do on earth. So whenever I see someone who's showing off their money, especially to people who may not have money. It's one thing to like be hanging out with in like billionaires row and be like, hey, look at my Rolex. Like, what else are you going to talk about? That's what they're billionaires, which they love money.
But maybe you're less likely to do it there because it's not as special.
Well, yeah, you feel you're like, Rolex. I own Rolex. That's the company I own. But the fact that he's showing it off, it screams insecurity. But there's no normal place where that comes from. There's no way to like be like, well, he's doing that for a good reason, because there's no good reason to ever show off your money to anybody in any situation. Yeah. So he's insecure. Yes. And that's not a good place to start in dating.
No, it's not.
Thank you.
I mean, I think we're in agreement on this. I can't imagine anyone watches Leo and feels differently about this. Even among the men, he's always humble bragging about it.
And they're humoring him. Honestly, that's what shows me how good these dudes are. Yeah. Like, if I was in the room, I'd shut him down. I'd be like, really? Like, I don't care about your stupid watch.
Oh, there was
Stop talking about
a moment where someone was like, oh, Brittany sounds expensive or high maintenance. And he was like, I have money.
I mean, it was like almost as funny. God. Like, he's become a caricature.
Yes.
That's the only reason we're getting entertainment out of it, because we think of him as a cartoon now. But he's a real person.
The other thing about Leo is his usage of the word like.
Oh my God.
And I really pick and choose how often I mention something like this, because I understand people are on the show, they're just being themselves, they don't have a script, and not everyone is going to be the most well-spoken person ever. But his use of the word like is distracting to the point where he was hard to follow. Like, I didn't know what he was saying a lot of the time.
You know what I noticed in the subtitles? They stopped there. They only used like a few of his likes. They stopped using all of them.
Yes, 1 in 3 likes.
They just quit. Yes. Like, they couldn't take it anymore. There was too many likes. They hit their quota.
Yes.
I think when you say like that many times, it's because you aren't thinking about what you're saying before you say it, which shows a certain level of self-absorption, I think, is that I'm so in control of everything. I'm so good that I don't have to think about what I'm going to say. Words will just come out.
Well, also the self-awareness piece. Like, he's not that self-aware. I mean, you said at one point, this guy doesn't think before he speaks. And we see that so many times. But I think it was best shown when he says I think it was to Brittany, he was like, well, I really didn't, before you were my number 2. And he's like, and now you're both my number 1.
Also both my number 2. Probably not as good.
It's like the fact that he would say that, like, he starts the sentence like, you are now my number 1. I'm telling you this piece of information. You were my number 2 because this is going to end well for you. And it's like, but now you're tied for number 1. How could he not think one step ahead to how that would land?
One of the dumbest things I've ever heard a man say. Period, let alone to a woman.
Him and Brittany, it's hard to know how compatible this ever might have been, because he leads with the money so early on. And she's also very candid about the fact that she has always dated people with means, and she likes being looked after in that way.
Yeah, but she wants someone who's confident.
Yes.
and has the money.
Yes.
He has the money, but he doesn't have the confidence.
I know. This was obviously never going to work, even though on paper, just from a money standpoint, it seems
Just
like it
on
might
paper
for a
from
split
money.
second. Yes.
Just on like a financial paper.
Yes, but what's like, I don't even know the ways in which they could have been compatible because he ruined it. He poisoned the well by mentioning his money in, I think, their first conversation.
Yeah.
So who knows what even the rest of it looked like or was meant to look like.
Well, that's the thing about this show is love is blind, like in the way you look, but also it should be blind in your financial assets.
Obviously, yes. He messed this up.
Yeah.
Big time.
He basically said, I'm Megan Fox for money.
So their big reveal is, I mean, I did enjoy it. Like he definitely was
These are
like,
the reveals you look forward to.
Yeah, he definitely was like, oh my God, I can't believe how attractive I find you. And it was amazing. This is why we watch the show, like you said, to see the power shift completely.
Instantly. It was instant. It was just 180. Sorry, 360. It was never 360. It's 180.
It was a 180 in power
180.
shift.
She was just like, suddenly she's like, I'm back.
Yes.
Now you're my bitch.
She even said it in a confessional earlier where she was like, normally I just give someone like the look with my eyes, like come hither. Like I get them with my eyes. She's like, I don't have my superpower. She got her superpower back and she was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the way I like it. Yeah. I don't like this love is blind business. I like my superpower.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use it. And it was like laser. It was like those laser, like Superman laser vision. She just melted him.
Yes.
She disintegrated him.
It's very obvious that this is
not
painfully awkward. She even says, I love this about her. She's like, this is one of the most awkward moments of my life. She's a hoot.
Yeah.
I'm actually really bummed we didn't.
Very bummed.
Like, I get why this didn't work. And I think it was clear she was uncomfortable with him.
Yeah, she told production, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. When it says, so we get that notice saying that they were not selected to go to Mexico.
That's BS. She's selected not to go to Mexico.
Oh, so is that what you think?
I think she said, I'm not doing this.
I think she was uncomfortable with him in his presence. It was obvious she was just like, ugh.
No, she didn't want it.
Yeah. And I wonder if she hadn't said that, if they would have gone to Mexico, and I only say that because they are such good TV. Mm-hmm. Such good TV. I mean, Leo, he was such good TV. I mean, he was one of the main sources of entertainment for the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, but we got robbed. Not gonna happen.
Brittany, also highly entertaining. I even love when he was like, hey, but you know you're beautiful. And she was like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, and you knew that I would think you're beautiful. And she was like, yeah.
Yeah. This is all going according to plan, except for you. So Sharleen, what's your favorite day of the week?
Sunday. It's actually not. It's Saturday.
Saturday is obviously the best day of the week. I actually like Friday because I have the anticipation of Saturday.
No, I would say Friday maybe.
But that being said, Sundays is still the 3rd best day of the week.
It is.
And for that reason, we love Sundays.
We love Sundays. Food for dogs. It's Ruby's food now. I mean, before Sundays came across the Dear Shandy desk as a sponsor, we had never even heard of Sundays. And now we cannot stop shouting from the rooftops how much we love this dog food because it has made our lives, I would say, 5 times more convenient while keeping her so happy. She has so much energy. Her coat looks amazing. Her poos look amazing.
Oh, yeah.
These things all matter. And what makes Sundays so special is it's human grade food. It's really great ingredients. We're talking 90% meat, 10% superfoods. There's nothing artificial added. And then this is the magic. They air dry the food. So then it functions like kibble, kibble, which is, like, let's be honest, the long list of ingredients in kibble is always like, ugh, there's a lot of mystery.
Do you want to eat kibble? Do you want to eat kibble?
A lot of mystery with kibble.
And you know what else? I'm going to say this, and I know people are going to say, oh, it's a dog. A dog's different than a human.
No. The only person who would say that doesn't have a dog.
That's true.
Yes.
So these are all dog owners.
Yes.
I guess people who don't have a dog are not getting Sundays.
Yes.
That would be a little weird if they did. So we're really speaking to you dog owners.
I do feel like in a pinch it would be really good.
If you were like buried under some rubble for a few
my God.
weeks. Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely.
You'd be stoked.
I would be down with Sundays. But if you as a human look at that dog food and say, I would under no circumstance ever eat that food, you should not be feeding your dog that food.
And Sundays, by the way, was co-founded by a practicing veterinarian and an engineer. They rigorously test every version of every recipe. And the proof is in the pudding. Ruby loves this stuff.
So get 40% off your first order of Sundays.
Go to sundaysfordogs.com/Shandy or use promo code Shandy at checkout. Okay, so we'll move on now to the other piece of that puzzle, who's Hannah, and then her guy, Nick. So the big theme with Nick early on is that he's some player. He comes off as a player. He gives BD energy.
I agree with the BD. I'm not 100% sure about the player energy. I don't get full player energy from him.
I think Nick is misunderstood.
I do too.
I'm not really sure why being a smooth talker. Like, I think you could go into those pods and be considered a smooth talker.
Yeah, I guess.
You don't think so?
I think, yeah, I haven't been in the game for a long time, but I think if I did like a six month training camp in the dating game, I could, yes, I could be a
Based
smooth
on
talker.
your dating history and your type of game, I think that you could be construed as a sweet talker, smooth guy, player type in these pods. And I just don't think that it's as simple as that. Like, I think it's more like your ability to carry a conversation and make someone feel comfortable. Why is that a bad thing automatically?
Because just because a guy can get girls because he's a smooth talker doesn't make him a player. He may become what looks like a player because he has so much access as a result of his ability to communicate well with women. The fact of the matter,
I followed that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I think many guys are players because they're allowed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many guys would not want to? Okay, I get it. There's some really sweet, nice guys, a lot of very religious guys. I get that. Yeah. Forget about them. I'm talking about regular guys, regular Joe Schmoes. Who wouldn't want to be a player? Like, you can either be a player or a guy who can't get girls. I'm going to be the guy who can't get girls.
I know what you're saying. And it's not necessarily forever. Like, it's not a career player. It's like maybe you're in your 20s and you're like,
before you get married, you're a player.
Yeah.
What does a player mean? Life is a game. Why wouldn't you be a player?
If you could.
You know what the problem with player is? It's always
taken negatively.
Is taken as a negative. Like, you're like bad to girls. You're mean to girls. You're unchivalrous. You don't respect women.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, how can you, if you have the ability, let's say someone said, okay, this is life. Life is just this. Life is finding a restaurant you love, and that's the last place you can eat for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You got to find one. And once you pick it, it's over.
Oh, this is a good analogy, Andy. Yeah. You would eat at a lot of restaurants.
You would want to live in New York and have carte blanche. Like, it's like you go to any restaurant you want. Then I travel to LA, then to Tokyo, then to Sydney, all the Seoul, Korea.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to just be stuck in a tiny town eating at like a Denny's and like a Longhorn Steakhouse.
Yeah, if you could manage it.
Yes.
You've made your point, Andy, and a very good analogy.
I have to spend the rest of my life in this restaurant. It's for me. It's for the goodness of my life.
You don't have to spend the rest of your life in this restaurant. You get to spend the rest of your life in this restaurant.
Yes, and such a fine restaurant.
You did very well for yourself with your restaurant,
5 Michelin
Andy.
stars.
Okay, so Nick and Hannah they pull a bit of a Megan Fox, not a full Megan Fox.
A light fox.
A light foxing where he talks about being a football player, this sort of jock guy, and she talks about being a cheerleader. She always dated the high school quarterback. Like, I understand that these aren't necessarily automatically equated to looks, but I definitely think it suggests something.
Yeah. It
suggests like a type of not only build, but also coolness factor, popularity factor.
You're saying the thing without saying the thing.
Yes. So a lot of their discussion is very flirty, but feels based also, I think, in looks. And it's interesting the journey that goes on, because first it's like they'll have a whole conversation about being beautiful.
Right.
But then we get to know Hannah better after she breaks up with him. So first, actually, I shouldn't gloss over that.
No.
She fully ends things with Nick because she thinks he's going to hurt her. And she's getting a lot of women being like, he's a player, he's a player. She makes it sound like they convince her to end it. I don't know if they did. I think she was afraid of getting hurt, like she said. Yeah. And I think that it was actually really brave of her to talk about her weight with him.
I agree.
Yeah, she apologizes, she takes him back, or he takes her back rather. And then she opens up, I think, about the root of a lot of Hannah's insecurities, which is the way she sees her body. She's afraid of disappointing him, and he handles this really well. I mean, Nick really does say a lot of the right things with Hannah. And in the pods, I thought it was just him, wanting to get ahead with the pods. But as we see more of him later on, I don't think Nick does that much wrong.
I totally agree.
They pretty much tell each other they're in love. It seems like this is going towards a proposal. And so Hannah now goes to break up with Leo. And my goodness, does this go disastrously. He does not take this well, in kind of an alarming way. Like, I was actually uncomfortable watching this.
As a child.
He had a full-blown temper tantrum, like, I want my iPad, I want a scoop of ice cream kind of Like literally, I want the thing I've had, but couldn't decide whether or not I want it. Now that I can't have it anymore, I'm going to have a fit.
It was so transparent and embarrassing. I found it hard to believe that someone who was an art dealer could let this happen.
Oh, what do you mean? Because he's an art dealer. What do you mean?
Meaning someone at the level where they're selling fine art to, very wealthy buyers, I assume, could communicate on this level. Like he was like 3 years old.
Well, that I think is the inherited part. Like he inherited something. He didn't create the art business because of how smooth he was and how careful he was and how he spoke to people.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be an art dealer. I don't know what Leo was supposed to be, but I promise you it was not an art dealer.
Yeah, who knows what he would have been without the family business. It's actually kind of, sometimes I find, like in some ways you could be like, oh, that's so beautiful that he took on the family business. But there is also to me a bit of a sadness in just doing what your parents did and being like, yeah, I'm going to make a lot of money doing this. But it's like, but what would you have been?
I couldn't imagine doing it. No matter what my parents were. My parents were like running the greatest business of all time. I don't understand why you would want to have the same journey as your parents. I don't know. Maybe a lot of people do this. I don't know. Me personally, I don't judge it. I think
I think a lot of people would take it.
I just think life is like this big adventure.
Yes.
Why are you just going to follow the same path as the person who gave birth to you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you know what it's going to look like. So much of it is so set for you.
Yeah.
But I mean,
unless
you're right.
you change it, unless you turn it on its head.
Totally.
Like, my parents did this business, but they did it all wrong.
Yeah.
I want to make it right.
And I don't want to make it sound like we're knocking it because I think there's probably a lot of security, emotional and financial security that comes with it. So it's like,
yeah. I can't knock it. I'm just saying for me, it's not for me.
Anyway, he has a full-blown temper tantrum where it gets actually, in my opinion, uncomfortable. He kind of manipulates the situation where he kind of makes it sound like he was about to propose. What would you say if I propose right now? And I got to give her credit. She doesn't crumble and say yes or anything. But he makes it seem like the only reason that she and Nick are getting together is because Nick got there first.
She made that mistake. She gave him that.
You think she gave him that?
Yeah, that was just, of course that was
Hannah's
something to
in
jump
over her
on.
head.
She's in over her head.
I feel like Hannah's never been in this I mean, who would ever be in this situation? But like these two guys are
fighting over her.
Tooth
and nail.
Yeah, and it feels her decisions feel more based in how they feel about her rather than how she feels about them. And she's overwhelmed.
But I also think that this is so shitty on Leo's part.
Oh my God.
Like he's such a child. It's like, oh, I don't know whether I want chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream. I don't know. I'm just going to sit here and debate about it in the ice cream store while my parents are waiting with the cashier.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to sit here and wait. And then finally like, okay, you're getting vanilla.
No.
Yeah.
I want chocolate.
Yeah. Shit, piss my pants, scream. Break things.
Yes.
Come on.
And even this feels manipulative when he says, if I were to ask you to marry me, would you say yes? Even that sounds like I need a guarantee. Like he's not willing to risk it by being like, well, marry me. You know, and even that, it's like coming from a place of like putting it on her. Would you say yes? Because I want to know.
You know what I feel bad about for Leo? Leo never was able to find his own way in life.
No.
I feel like Leo could have been a special person if he was just set into the wild.
Yes,
but
totally.
Instead, he's a child forever.
And he's a good-looking guy.
Good-looking guy, intelligent, articulate. I don't know. He's got to cut down the likes. But he's not a full adult human.
No.
And this is a perfect example. He's given many examples, but this is the most salient. It's like that is a baby.
Yes. Anyway, thankfully she says she has to sleep on it. She's crying like crazy. He has a very different version of what happened when he talks to the men about it.
Insecurity again. Can't tell the truth.
There's something about him.
Yeah.
He's not. Is he ever fully to blame? He's one of those people that's like, you're right, I was wrong, but doesn't actually think he was wrong. He just like,
totally.
He's like saying it because it's the right thing to say.
I don't think there is a Leo there. Whatever Leo is there, we're not seeing it. I don't know who he is. I don't know what Leo is.
Yeah. A lot of self-preservation. I mean, even when the next day when they talk, he's like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have spoken to you that way. But then in the next breath, he's like, could you tell Brittany that this was mutual? Ugh. Like it felt like he was even apologizing to get something out of it. It was strategy.
He was making an art deal.
He was making an art deal. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so Nick ends up proposing to Hannah. She says yes. And now we get I mean, these two, they're funny. They are the Chelsea and Jimmy
Yeah.
of the season.
Yeah.
In that he seems more into her than she is into him.
Yes.
She's definitely disappointed in his looks. She doesn't hide it. She says in her confessional that he was not truthful about his looks because he seemed to advertise that he was a football player and built. And she seems focused on how small he is. I gotta say, it's a rough go for a small. He's not that small.
Yeah.
Is he that small?
I have a lot of issues with this.
Yeah, me too.
I have a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't like that she's leading with physicality.
She wanted guarantees from him that he wouldn't lead with physicality, and now she's the one leading with physicality.
Well, that's the irony of this.
Yes.
Is like, I feel like she thinks that he thinks she's too big.
Yeah.
And she thinks that he's too small.
But really, the root of that insecurity is that she feels too big.
She feels too big, and she's punishing him
Yes.
for her feeling too big.
Yes. How she feels in her own skin colors how she sees the world.
And you know what? I can't blame her either. Like, I honestly don't blame her. Like, I can put myself in her shoes and be like, I want a man who's huge.
Yeah.
I get it.
Sure.
But it's like you already know this guy through the pods. You've already said, this is my soulmate.
Yeah,
this is it.
the show you
this is the person
signed
I want
up
to spend
for.
the rest of my life with. And you see that he's smaller than you wanted.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And he's not
Come
even
on.
Yeah.
He's not that small. It would be different if he was like if he's like Prince. It's like 5 feet tall. He's not Prince.
No.
He's a perfectly normal, average height human.
Yes. And their conversation they have here is excruciating.
Terrible. It's awful to watch.
Oh.
But also
they're talking
entertaining.
about, they keep like,
Sorry.
you
man,
loved it.
Come on.
They keep gushing about each other's looks, but in a way that feels kind of false. He says, oh, I'm not as beautiful as you. And she's like, yes, you are. Yes, you are. And it's like, oh. Andy, you said this is the whole reason you watch this show. Anyone who doesn't admit that is lying. You loved their reveal.
Come on. Who isn't in this show for that? Come on. Even if you're not in the show for that, you're in the show for that. You don't even know it.
So in Mexico, they're talking again about looks and how hard it is to process how the other looks. It's always about looks with them. He low talks now about them respecting his brand back home. So he doesn't seem to want to talk about sex.
His brand is that he's celibate?
No, I think they have sex. I mean,
so he's a religious. What is? I didn't get this.
I think that he didn't want her talking shit about him in the bedroom.
Oh,
that's
so
what I
his
think.
brand is that he's a stud in the bedroom.
I don't know.
I don't know,
but
I literally don't know what he's talking about.
It felt like, we've seen a lot of seasons now of this show where women then go and talk about the sex. Right? Like you see these, it's actually, the women always do it more than the men do. Like way more.
Yeah.
And we even saw it happen here, like how satisfied Marissa was. Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like he was trying to mitigate any, I don't know, damage. I don't know.
I can't even venture a guess as to what he's talking about.
Yeah.
My gut says you should judge him for saying this, but I feel like maybe there's something I don't understand that I'm missing. But that didn't make any sense to me. What brand is he protecting?
Well, I mean, a lot of people have brands now, Andy. We have a brand.
I know we have a brand.
Is Dear Shandy not a brand? Do we have a brand to maintain?
But I understand, but I don't understand how your brand is around sex.
I think it's possible that he maybe...
Religious?
No. I think he just didn't want her going to the women being like, oh yeah, he sucked in the bedroom.
So what guy doesn't have a brand that he's good in bed? Everyone wants to lead. Oh yeah, I'll be good. Don't worry. It's going to be a good time. What brand? That's his brand? It's like, I'm Nick the Dick. I pack 12 inches and I give it to you the way you want it.
It is
like,
interesting.
Well, what is that?
You have to wonder if he did pack 12 inches, would he be saying this?
I honestly have never been more confused.
Yeah. There's a bit of a weird conversation about injections.
Yeah.
Where he asks if she has had her lips done and then would she ever do stuff like that? And then he says, I prefer natural. He says, natural women are the most beautiful, which, okay, I appreciate that. But I also don't love it when men ask women what they've had done. Have they done anything? Because not only are you asking them to out it for you, but it's on TV.
Yeah, that was
like you're
weird.
forcing a woman to either not have done anything, in which case, like, it's her prerogative. She's allowed to have done whatever she wants. And then separately from that, she now is revealing to the world
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
It's just messed up. It's a messed up question.
Yeah, he's got a couple strikes now.
So now we have to talk about Duckgate.
Duckgate. Yeah,
Okay,
we do have to talk about it.
We do.
Must be discussed.
I mean, could anyone possibly think that we are team Hannah in this?
No.
It's impossible. You guys
If
didn't
they
think.
know us, unless they're tuning in for the first time.
So
It's not their fault.
as a synopsis, he sees these plastic ducks on the beach and he wants to go ride one. She's like, no, if you do that, it'll give me the ick. And he rather defiantly does it anyway.
Yeah.
And then who seems to be a random woman on the beach. I did believe this, actually. I think she probably signed some waiver to show her face, but I feel like she was like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
She joins him on the duck next to him and they race their ducks. And this is a big scene. Hannah has a big issue with this. She feels disrespected by it. Also by the fact that this woman called her jealous and that he laughed along with this random woman.
How can you go through life expecting to ever have a healthy relationship when this is your reaction to a guy riding a duck and a random 60-year-old woman coming up to him and playing around?
It makes me sad how uncomfortable she was with this. And even when she said, he was like, why can't you ride the duck? She's like, I'm too cool. And I was like, oh no, honey, you're not.
You are so uncool.
You're the non-cool one.
The least cool thing you've ever done is not riding that duck with him.
Yes, or not letting him ride it and just laughing along.
Let him ride the duck and make fun of him.
Yes.
You look like a fool riding the duck. Do whatever you want. If you want to be a jerk, but don't not let him ride the duck.
Yes, it was so high school for her to be like, I'm too cool for that. It's like, that's the cheerleader in you coming out. Is like, no, I'm too cool for you. That's an uncool person. That's a cool person.
She's 14 years old.
Yes. Like, to me, cool is someone who doesn't give a shit what other people think.
Someone who, you know what cool is? A man who decides to ride a duck because it's there.
Yes, just because he wants to.
Yeah,
and
I want to ride that duck.
He doesn't take himself too seriously.
Yeah.
She takes herself way too seriously. This was really painful.
She let this cause a rift?
I mean, enough of a rift that she ended up writing a bullet point list of her concerns about their relationship.
But also, what was this guy supposed to do? So he's riding this duck. This random woman comes over who's clearly not like a romantic interest in any universe for him. She comes over. What are you supposed to be like? Excuse me, I'd like you to please keep your distance.
Yeah,
I have a woman here who might be jealous of our interaction. I'd like to ride this duck alone.
Yes.
I would like you to remove yourself from the duck area.
I thought Nick handled the whole duck thing so well. I love how he stayed back with the duck and like tested his technique. Yeah. His riding of the duck technique.
Well, this is where Nick checked out. He was done. This duck comment ended.
I mean, this is where you would be done.
I'm done.
I would be done. To me, it's so funny that she was acting like he was done. If I were in this relationship and I were him in this moment, I was like, let's go ride the duck. And the guy was like, no. It's going to give me the ick. I'm going to look the other way. I'd be like, okay, this is done.
Yeah, it's over.
This is obviously done.
We're like literally like 2 weeks into this relationship and you won't let me ride a plastic duck? That's giving you the ick?
Yes.
Like how much foundation do we have?
And it's so funny because she was the one who was like, I'm worried that with someone like Nick, I won't feel comfortable taking off my makeup before bed.
Yeah.
To me, this is the thing. She's much more judgmental than he is.
Yeah, she's been judging him ever since she's laid eyes on him.
Yes. I love how he says, maybe we should call it quits now.
Yeah.
What a great comeback. Okay, so now the pool party. These two play a big part in the pool party. Monica says that she thought that he had BDE energy BDE in the pods, and she sees him in person and she says, he's small.
Aw, that's not nice. Why is he getting all this shade for being not a big guy? And let's be honest, on all these shows, guys are usually really big. Like all these dating shows, guys are probably bigger. When you see them in person, you're like, wow, you're really big.
I gotta say, everyone has this impression that men are the more superficial sex.
Oh, I totally agree.
And men really are superficial. They can be extremely superficial, but we have seen season after season after season of the show where women have been every bit as much, if not more, superficial.
Well, it is a fact, a scientific fact. Love is not blind.
No.
It is not blind. It has 20/20 vision. 2015.
Yes. Meanwhile, the men are having a chat about the ducks. And he reveals that he found a note. he didn't find a note. She had written a note and left it out in their hotel room, listing the top 10 things about him that she was questioning. Things like maturity, ? Dedicated, ? This felt a little too specific to lie about.
Also, if you have a top 10 list about things you're not sure about with somebody, is that really something you're pursuing?
I mean, if this were not a TV show, would they still be together?
Like, you shouldn't have more than 2.
So now they have a conversation where they seem absolutely wasted. She accuses him of having disrespected her. He says he wasn't trying to disrespect her. He didn't disrespect her. And she says, but her feelings are her feelings. So she's saying, even if you didn't disrespect me, I felt disrespected. This was so Chelsea. We've seen Chelsea do this.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what your intent was or even what you did. What matters is how it impacted me.
They were looking to cast a Chelsea-ish person, I think.
Yeah. They
It felt
succeeded.
that way. It felt a little suspicious.
He asks about the last bullet point, Delulu. And she says, oh, delusional. And he says, you think I'm delusional?
Yeah.
That's not a nice thing to say.
There's
about
no
someone.
way that you can couch delusional as a compliment.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, and now post-pool party, she literally fishes the note out of the trash. And Andy, you said, there are certain people where the more they drink and the later it gets, the crazier they become. So you felt that Hannah was just going...
She was spiraling.
I think she was trying to defend. She maybe realized that it didn't look good, the note thing, and thought that she could kind of recover from this, but it was not.
All decisions are poor decisions at this point.
She says she just wants to make sure they're on the same page. And he says, I agree. I'm not the only one who's delusional. Ooh.
Nice.
Andy, you said he's treating her the way Jimmy should have treated Chelsea.
100%.
He talks back.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not going anywhere.
No, it's not. It's obviously
It should
done.
end.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind if it goes on for a while, though, just because they are
everyone wants to see
entertaining.
it.
They are totally
it's
entertaining.
funny.
Okay, Andy, so we must wrap with who we would go for. Let's guess each other's.
Okay.
I think you would go for Taylor.
You are correct.
Okay, that's like so not surprising. Okay, who do you think I would go for?
I think my number 1 would be Garrett, and then Ramses as runner-up.
It's
It is
Ramses,
Ramses.
yeah.
Okay.
Garrett, I like Garrett. I like him for Taylor, but this may be where Taylor and I differ. Like, I would go for Ramses.
Okay.
I think
respect
Ramses
that.
is like.
I mean, I think you're right.
Garrett is just like I still want to see him loosen up, like and be like goofy.
I agree. I don't think Garrett's is fun enough for you. I think you want more fun.
Yeah, I
Garrett.
like a guy who's kind of like a big kid.
Yeah.
And I see that in Ramses more than
Ramses is strong.
Ramses is strong.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Okay, so dear Shandies, let us know in the comments what you thought of these first 6 episodes, and be sure to ask questions if you want us to answer like specific things or cover certain things in the next recap. So episodes 7 through 9. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram and
TikTok.
Leave us Apple and
Spotify.
Podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. And now, Ruby. Oh my God, I swear she was getting up as she saw you coming. Ruby. Oh my God. Hi, sweetie. Oh.
Yes.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.